Hello, everybody. My name is Gustav Preikelt. I'm a co-founder of Turn, and it's really great to see you today in the September Town Hall. Today, we'll be, as always, sharing and celebrating some of the amazing work that this community is doing in helping people connect to the information that they need to build better lives for themselves. I'm joined today with a bunch of our team members. Will be helping today to talk about some of these examples, and we're also very happy to have Ati here from Seven Sugar, who's going to be talking about some of the work they've been doing in India around diabetes. But first, we've got some really amazing news. As you all know, we've launched the Accelerator a couple of months ago to help organizations build their Chat for Impact services. And we're very happy to announce that in the middle of November, on the 15th and 16th, we will have the inaugural, the very first in-person and virtual Chat for Impact Summit here in Cape Town, and obviously virtually globally. And I think we're all really excited. It's the first time that the team from Turn and from our partners at Breakable.org will actually see each other in person. We've grown over the period of COVID from 4 people to over 20 people, and it'll be amazing to see everybody from our team for the first time all together in the same place. And we hope to see as many as possible of organizations that have been doing this incredible work over the last couple of years during COVID here in the beautiful Cape Town. So really looking forward to seeing some of you here. And of course, if you can't make it to beautiful South Africa, then we will have an amazing virtual event as well that we'll share. And we'll make sure that this will be on the 16th of November, both for the Americas and for Asia Pacific, to have as many people as possible share with us the incredible work that you've been doing throughout this year. As you know, we also have been having boot camps throughout the year, and we have boot camps in various verticals, from education to elections to crisis response. And we're very happy that the final boot camp this year will be the Chat for Impact Global Health Boot Camp. I'm particularly excited because health is the area that we started in more than 15 years ago. Our very first project when we started our first nonprofit was actually in HIV support. And it's really amazing now to see the incredible use cases that you have been coming up with around health. And so on the 5th of October will be our final bootcamp for 2022, and it'll be virtual, and it'll be at 2 p.m. GMT time. We will be showcasing Mom Connect, which is literally the very first actually the very first social impact use case that was ever on the WhatsApp Business API. So it's really actually not the granddaddy, but the grandmommy of all WhatsApp social impact services that we launched now 5 years ago. And so Breakable.org, our parent organization, will be chatting a little bit through Mom Connect and what they've learned over the years. And Neuro Health, who also been one of our original partners in health and on the WhatsApp API, is going to share some of the incredible work they've been doing. As you probably know, Neuro Health are a Scholar Award winner this year, and also Audacious Award. And they're doing incredible things on the WhatsApp Business API and more generally in India, supporting people and providing them healthcare through the recovery. We'll obviously, as always, speak a little bit about the product and how we can support specifically the health vertical, and we'll have some interactive onboarding sessions to help you onboard onto the WhatsApp Business API. Any organization that joins the bootcamp also gets a free 3-month license, and we'll be sharing best practices. And I think specifically what we want to talk about is because health through COVID, we realized how important direct and real-time care is going to be. That's health has obviously been the vertical that most of the work has been done. So we're really excited to see some of the use cases. We're really excited to see the new applications that you have been coming up with, and to share and celebrate those use cases throughout the bootcamp. And I think specifically now to that, I also want to just mention how we've had such a large an amazing cohort of organizations on board the last couple of weeks, and welcome them to the Chat for Impact community. And we hope that you can say welcome to them. I want to just mention here, for instance, an organization like Everwell that you might know of, who've done some incredible work around TB directly observable observation of TB treatment. And there's education, Charlo Network, Munro Foundation, too many to count right now. And so I just want to welcome to this incredible community. Around the accelerator, also just want to mention that today is the deadline. If you know any organizations or if you haven't applied yet, please do. The Chat for Impact Accelerator, as you know, we enlarged the cohort this year. We have now 20 organizations that we're supporting with a grand total of $500,000, $25,000 in unrestricted funding per organization. And we will be providing that additional support as well. We want to support and thank WhatsApp for the incredible support of this program, both last year and for this increased program in 2022. And the closing date, like I said, is tonight, midnight PST. So get your applications in. It only takes a couple of minutes to get them in. I want to mention here as well that we've had this year a record-breaking number of entries, over 900 thus far in the Chat for Impact Accelerator. And of course, we hope to see the finalists and the winners of the Accelerator, the alumni from last year, at the summit in November. But with that, as always, with our bootcamp, we always love to share and see what organizations are doing. As you know, diabetes is a tremendous problem globally and specifically in India. And I'm so proud and really excited to hear Adi talk about the work that Seven Sugar is doing with Turn, but specifically with WhatsApp to support diabetes patients in India. Over to you, Adi.
Thank you, Turn team, for inviting me to this wonderful town hall, and really pleased to be speaking to an esteemed audience here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is Adi. I'm part of Seven Sugar. We are a digital therapeutics platform which addresses, which helps diabetes patients and doctors communicate efficiently so that you can provide precise intervention to manage their glucose levels, throughout their what I call their life cycle. So with that, I'll just go to the next slide. The use case that I'm going to talk today is about gestational diabetes. Quickly, post-COVID, when after COVID in India, some of our doctors started using our app to manage their gestational diabetes patients because pregnant mothers were reluctant to come and visit them in hospitals and clinics because fear of COVID infection risk. And so we saw them, a lot of use case, a lot of patients using this to manage GDM. But at the same time, what we found was, patients were reluctant to use an app and download an app, and they would rather communicate with their doctors on WhatsApp or other messaging platforms. And one of the reasons was that it's easy for them to see if a message has reached the doctor, using the two blue ticks that that you get on WhatsApp. There's some level of comfort that the patient gets that the message has reached the doctor, that they can call and contact me when needed. And when we investigated a little bit more, we found that GDM is actually a big use case in India and across the world. In India, we have about 5 million births that are GDM cases, and that is actually increasing year after year for various reasons, including the nutrition that people are getting on a daily basis, which is highly processed food and delayed pregnancies. And there's a shortage of doctors, in terms of ability to manage GDM in a very efficient manner, and leading to complications of, at birth, as well as, risk of type 2 diabetes at a later point in life. Our goal is to provide tools to manage GDM in a safe and a scalable way for both the patient and the doctor. So we want to reduce burden on the doctor, at the same time provide some kind of assurance to the patient, his GDM, his situation is being monitored in a safe way. Next slide. So as I described, the problem, doctors, are unable to deliver GDM care because of lack of monitoring tools. Once the patient leaves the clinic, there is no way for the doctor to monitor them in a very efficient way, how the patient is performing, on glucose parameters. And that's one of the problems we want. The second problem, patients want to be able to assure that they're doing well, they're eating the right nutrition, and their glucose levels are in range. But the problem they have is, they've got limited access to healthcare. So staying at home, how do I get this assurance? I'm doing well, and that's the problem we're trying to solve. And what the solution that we have developed on WhatsApp, using Turn's help, is to develop a bot that takes in inputs from the patient, analyzes it in a smart way, and escalates to a diabetes educator when needed, and further escalates to a care team, which consists of a dietitian or a doctor, to efficiently address any concerns that the patient has. And so basically, we provide immediate feedback when we get any input from the patient, and we escalate to a diabetes educator and to a caregiver based on the seriousness of the input that we have received. And we'll show you a use case. As I said, India has got more than 16% of the births annually have GDM cases. Worldwide, it's a big issue. And our goal is to make this a multi-unit. Currently, we are doing it in English. We want to move it into other languages so that people across India, across different strata of the society, from high income to low income, across education levels and literacy levels, can actually use a bot and get help, when they need, when they're pregnant. So that's our goal. Next slide, please. We've been running the pilot for the past 3 months. We have onboarded about 30 patients. We have 3 hospitals that are using the app. And we are doing a little bit light during this pilot because we want to learn as much as we can before we scale. One of the feedback that we receive from the patient, they feel supported. There's some kind of assurance that somebody's monitoring my data, and that reduces their level of anxiety. And that's one of the biggest feedback that we got, why they want to use the bot. The other thing that we have received, the patients feel like they need to be able to talk to somebody in real, a person in real time. And then that is the challenge that we have. How do you simulate a human-like experience on a bot? And that's something that we need to work on. And we see a lot of input that we are gathering, that will help us get there. And the third thing that we saw was, education is an important part of GDM. How do you educate patients to eat right, and what is GDM about? What are the risks? But we have not seen people actually engage on the content on a bot, and we are really wondering why. Maybe they are afraid to read, why there's something wrong, something's going wrong with them. We don't know, and we need to. We're trying to, we need to spend some time talking to our patients, and we're going to do that. And so we need to figure out, how do we, deliver this content, that is more context-based, so that, patient gets educated, why they have to eat healthy, monitor their glucose levels, and what the risks are. Next slide. Yeah. Here is a bot that we're going to show you how someone can upload their meal on our bot just by taking a photo of the meal. And then we are able to, we'll see the process, So here is a meal that the patient that has, and they're submitting this meal to us. And we look at this meal, we try to analyze this meal for calories from carbs, protein, fat, and fiber, and then compare it with what is recommended by the dietitian. So the meal has been submitted. It goes to a backend where we have a person who analyzes it and see, there is the meal analysis for calories from carbs, protein, and fat. And what we have found out is that the protein content is not there. And so we provide some broad recommendations for what the protein content has to be. And the patient can actually interact and ask, hey, ask additional questions, what should I be doing, now? And in this case, the person is vegetarian and lactose intolerant, which means, they can't eat some of the milk-based protein sources. And so, the dietitian has to recommend what else they can eat. And we have such type of interactions on a daily basis, so patients submit their food photos and we analyze them, we provide feedback, they submit glucose levels and we provide feedback on them. And when needed, we escalate it to a doctor, if any medication correction is needed. So that's the feedback on the bot. That's how our bot works. And here is one testimonial from one of the patients, who is actually.
Hi, I have been using 7Sugar bot for the past 2 months to control my sugar during pregnancy. There are three things that I like about 7 Sugar Bot. Number one is the interface. It's over WhatsApp, so there is an absolute ease of use. Number two, in case we forget to upload the meal information as we are having the meal, you always have an option to upload it within 1 hour. So I like that flexibility. And number three, based on whatever information, meal information and glucose information we have uploaded on the 7 Sugar Bot, the nutritionist will always get in touch with you for any intervention whenever necessary. So overall, it's been a good experience with 7 Sugar Bot and I highly recommend it.
Thank you. So thank you, Manish, Indrani. They've been
Hi.
both of
I've been using.
and appreciate all your help. And I'm open to taking any questions. So here's, if you guys want to try it out, please scan this QR code and we'll be on our bot. You'll have to register yourself and then, you can experience it.
Thank you, Adi. That was very, very interesting. Please, like Adi said, we'll be taking questions. Write your questions in the chat, and we're just going to pause for a minute or so in case anybody wants to ask Adi anything. Adi, perhaps I have a quick question. What is the main way that you promote your bot among patients that might have an interest in the resources that you offer?
Yeah, great question, Carola. Currently, what we're doing is, working with doctors and let doctors recommend our app to the patients, who are at risk of GDM or have GDM and an uncontrolled GDM. And then, so that's how we're getting referrals in this stage. Post this, we really want to, use social media to build awareness on GDM and also awareness, of a bot, so that, we can get inbound requests, to come onto our program, and that will be the way, when you're ready to scale.
Great. I see Chitra has a question. I've just asked her to unmute. Oh, there you go.
Hello, hi everyone. Hi Adi. Just one question. So, is the bot multilingual, or are you currently operating only in English?
Yes, Chitra, currently it's only in English today, but we have a roadmap to be multilingual. And, we've identified a few languages that we want to start off first. And if you have any recommendations, please let us know. We are always looking for that input.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No recommendations as such, because we are also along the same line of, having a multilingual bot. So wanted to get some insights from you in case there is a multilingual option. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
Adi, I see a couple questions about the images. So the first question is, how are your images and the images you receive via WhatsApp currently being analyzed? And there's a related question about, is the food in the picture analyzed by a human or a machine learning model?
Yeah, I think both the questions are quite interrelated. What we have seen is that, we want to do something, where it's easy for our users to upload, what they're eating. And we found, for them to upload a meal photo is actually the best way, because, it doesn't require to type, and people typically, most people know how to take a photo, because that's kind of the norm today, right? People take photos every time, all the time. But when the photo gets submitted, a meal photo, what we do is, we have an AI algorithm that identifies the meal components. And then we have a person that confirms it and then calculates, the volume of the meal, what we see. They've been trained to estimate the volume, because they see so many photos on a daily basis. We have trained them, how to estimate volume. Most of the time we are within 10 to 15%, accuracy, in terms of the actual meal and what we have estimated. And for the doctors and dietitians and the patients, that's really good enough, because they're able to come up with interventions based on this, right? Typically, there's a saying that, right, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that's very true here. A meal photo clearly explains, what the person is, eating, and we're able to provide that feedback and in terms of what's missing in the plate, and so it becomes very easy. So yeah, that's what we do. We have a combination of AI and a person, together working together to make it happen.
Great, and I think we have time for one last question. How are you regulated in terms of giving medical and health advice? How do you manage that?
So on the bot itself, we don't provide medical advice. Means there's no prescription advice that we provide on the bot. We only provide nutrition advice on the bot, and we also tell whether the person glucose levels or blood pressure or any other vitals they upload, whether it is within range or or what category of range it is in. So we provide that. But in terms of any correction of prescription, that gets escalated to the doctor, and the doctor actually takes the call as to what changes to do the prescription, and that is allowed in India. The doctors can write prescription, and they communicate back to the patient. So we are going to create ability for doctors to send that prescription on the WhatsApp bot, so that the loop is completed.
Great, thank you for that presentation, Adi. That was very interesting. So if you might want to pop your contact details in the chat in case anybody wants to reach out and continue asking questions about your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Nelka, from the product team to talk about product updates.
Thank you, Carola. Hi, everyone. It's lovely to spend some time together. My name is Nelka, and it's my pleasure to share our latest product updates today. The first update is around content limits. And the key message I want you to remember today or take home today is really that shorter is better. I know it's always easier, oftentimes easier to write long content. But if you think about WhatsApp, you are really competing with everybody's family groups and all the cat videos that get shared between friends. So it's important that you write short and punchy and easy to read content. And so what have we done in turn and in the user interface to help you? The first one, and now we can have a look at my GIF on the right. He's a little bit ahead. Let's wait for him to restart. There we go. So say you have a message, you'll see a character counter in the bottom of the box. And if you start going over 450 characters, we give you a best practice prompt reminding you that ideally you stick to 450 characters. If you start writing really long messages, we remind you that you cannot add media over a certain limit. And if you would add media, we give you a red warning and we gray out the save button. So WhatsApp has their own content limits, button messages, media messages, list messages, all of them are constrained to 1,024 characters. And we align with that. And that's where the orange and the red warnings come in. But from our side, we really want to encourage you using the best practice prompt to keep your content short and punchy. There's a whole write-up on Learn explaining it, and you guys will already have seen it in the content box. So that's just key message to take home. Shorter is always better with your content. Then our next update, this is more for our customers using our APIs and especially the data export APIs. The first thing I just want to point out is that we've added 8 fields to the get messages endpoint. You guys can go and read the details, and if you use the API, you should have seen it. So that will help the teams using that, building their own databases with the API. And then the second one, and we will launch that tomorrow to our shared cluster. We can go to the next slide. And then on the following week to our private clouds. But we are making updates to the contact details endpoint. And those are very important to go through the details. It's fairly technical, but if you use it, you will know what we're talking about. I'm changing the way you need to paginate, and we are adding and removing some field names. So that would be critical for you to go and have a look at that article on Learn, and just get your pipelines updated to align with that. And then the last update from our side It's also in the coming soon box. We've launched reminders. We can see that you guys are using it. And it's also still a feature in alpha. So I think firstly, we want to celebrate that we've tested it at scale. Our largest send today was to about 1,000 people on one day with no engineering needed. So if you're a team that don't have engineers, you should get excited about reminders. And then from a, call it the user experience aspect, we are also busy in the background to add scheduling. So if you've used reminders today, you will know you'll set up all your things, select your audience, decide which template you send, and go through all the steps, and then you will send it at that point in time. But we're busy adding the ability where you can select your date and your time and schedule it, and that will allow you to set up a few reminders that needs to go out. So it's not launched yet, but I wanted you to know that we're working on that, and that you can look forward to that. That's everything from me. If you guys have specific questions, I'll have a look at the chat and answer them. Otherwise, Manish, I'm handing over to you.
Thanks, Nilka. Hello, everyone. As you know, that we have a brand new automation engine now called Build. Many organizations are already using builds and stacks to create some complex automations. We are also trying to make efforts to ensure that you have resources at your disposal to learn stacks. Apart from the playbooks that are already available in stacks, we are making a repository of articles that you can refer to in our learn.turn.io channel. Additionally, we are also organizing regular training sessions on Stack. Feel free to join in any or all the training sessions. My colleague Kanya is posting the links for the events calendar and the Learn channel where you can learn about Stacks in the Zoom chat now. Next slide, please. Okay, so going forward, we are discontinuing the forum to focus on the existing channels to connect. You can learn about the product on our Learn channel that's hosted on learn.turn.io. You can also learn about product on our YouTube channel. Apart from that, you can learn about all the news and events and all updates, and that will be posted in our Twitter handler and LinkedIn. System performances will be available in our status page, which is hosted at status.turn.io. And lastly, you can always talk to us on our dedicated WhatsApp support channel or via email at impact@turn.io. Cool. And with that, I call it a day for this town hall. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.